Hello, this is Mick Foley, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Santino Morella, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Rob Van Dam. You're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Yeah, welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is our website here on TSN 690 every Saturday night, talking professional wrestling. A lot going on in the world of professional wrestling. The WWE's got Survivor Series going down next weekend already. We just went through Evolution and Crown Jewel back-to-back weeks. We get a week or two off, and then boom, Survivor Series comes right at you. A big card from the WWE and a lot of news surrounding Survivor Series coming this week. You can follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Follow Johnny North at North Genesis. At Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same handle. It's real easy. At Dave Simon MMA. Big Johnny, we got a lot to get to here tonight. A lot to get to. We have new Raw Tag Team Champions. The Authors of Pain become the new Raw Tag Team Champions. We have a lot of matches announced and a lot of the participants for those matches being made official, like the Survivor Series matches. That whole picture became clear this week. We know it's going to be Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. That's the theme. SmackDown versus Raw. Team Raw will have a 5-on-5 men's match, a 5-on-5 women's match, and I guess a 5-on-5 tag team match or a 10-on-10. How does that work? Because the Usos became the captains for the tag team Survivor Series match, and I know that we've had one of these matches before, but I can't recall exactly how they work. Is it 5 tag teams, or is it just 5 guys that happen to be in tag teams?
I feel it's like 3 or 4 tag teams, if I'm not mistaken. And we already have 2 tag teams set for SmackDown.
The Usos and the New Day.
So I think just 2 more, and that's it.
Which was kind of weird. You had the Usos wrestle the New Day on SmackDown this week. Always a good match.
Yep.
Usos wind up winning. They win the right to become the team captains, and then they ask the New Day to join their team, and they all hug it out, and they're like, yeah, we're a team. We're all buddies. Kind of a pointless scenario, because in the end, you know, it all winds up the same. They both wind up on the Survivor Series team. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this type of match. I'm more interested in the other matches on this card. But it's kind of a weird setup. Like, are they going to have 5 teams? Do they even have 5 teams on Raw and SmackDown that they could put together?
No, I think it's just going to be 4 teams against 4 teams. That's it.
So 8 guys on the apron? That's a lot.
They usually have done 10. I think in the past they've done usually 5-on-5 like that.
Crazy.
They still could if they wanted to. I hope they don't, because it's a lot on the apron.
Well, let's see now. If they tried to do that for SmackDown, what would they do?
Well,
they would have New Day, Usos, The Bar.
Right. No, The Bar can't, because they're against the Tag Team Champions.
Oh, right. The Bar will be facing the Authors of Pain?
That's official.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. No title matches on this card, by the way.
I feel, as I said last week, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, that should be to crown a new undisputed champion. That would solve the whole Brock Lesnar problem.
Is there a Brock Lesnar problem?
Is there not?
Apparently Brock signed a new deal. That's the word. People are reporting that Brock has signed a new deal, and he's sticking around in WWE. I think Dave Meltzer reported it first. People are confirming it, that, yeah, Brock is now questionable to even go back to the UFC at this point.
Well, I think he is going to fight because Dana White wants him to fight. So
that doesn't mean he's going to. If Dana White wants him to fight and Vince McMahon wants him to wrestle instead, and Vince McMahon offers him more money, I think Brock will probably take the money.
But Brock is just scheduled for Survivor Series. No TLC, that's for sure, apparently. And Rumble is up in the air. Maybe he'll be there, maybe he won't. And it just seems like it's just WrestleMania. That's it. So I feel like he could still fight and go to WrestleMania.
Is it really no appearance until January for Brock after this Survivor Series match?
Even that, who knows if it's going to be in January. He's not confirmed for the Rumble. You just expect he'd be at the Rumble because it's going to be like a stadium show.
Well, he's a champion, too.
Well, who cares, right? TLC, like it's a nothing pay-per-view. Elimination Chamber apparently is a nothing pay-per-view. Brock doesn't need to be there.
Is that confirmed, though? I don't think any of that is confirmed. I think that's just your assumption that, Brock won't show up. But who knows how often Brock's going to show up. Brock's going to be on Raw Monday night.
It just feels like we're getting sucked back into the same scenario we had before. We lived this already last year.
Yeah. Well, what would you want them to do instead?
Well, what I want, they won't do.
Roman Reigns is not in the picture. The WWE was shaken to its core a couple of weeks ago when Roman made that announcement. Roman Reigns was the one and only plan for the future. Everything was on Roman. Everything.
It was.
And they have to go in some sort of other direction. And I think when they were put up against the wall, as they very often do, they don't go with something new. They go with something that's worked before that they can rely on. When they're in trouble, when their back's against the wall, they go back to old, faithful, whatever they can find that they know is a proven commodity at the top of the card. So Roman is your current champion. He doesn't have the ability to make the shows anymore because unfortunately he's dealing with leukemia, and with a thing like this, you don't know if he will come back. Of course, we all want him to come back. I expect him to come back, but you don't know. You don't know if he's going to come back. You don't know when he'll come back. You don't know. Like, this isn't like an injury. With Roman Reigns, it's interesting to see what the WWE is going to do. I wonder what they're going to do and how they're going to plan for the future now without Roman Reigns. Are they going to fully commit to going in another direction? Or are they just kind of going to wait it out and hope that Roman comes back and they can just keep going on that Roman Reigns track? I wonder how they're going to play it. Because with this, it's not like, okay, you tore your ACL, you're going to have surgery, you'll be back in 9 months to a year, and we'll keep going. With something like leukemia, it's like, well, you don't know. You don't know how long it's going to take to deal with it. You don't know if you're going to be able to deal with it. I mean, there are so many questions that for the WWE planning their future, planning their main events now, it's a real conundrum. And I feel like they are trying to solve that problem with Brock Lesnar. They have no Roman, so they threw money at Brock, and they're going to have him stick around as much as possible and just kind of carry the ball until they figure out what to do next, because this was not expected. This kind of came out of left field. Roman's gone. They got to completely change course. And Brock Lesnar's what's going to get them through until they find the next direction, the next guy that can take that ball from Brock. And right now, it seems like they don't really have that guy.
Well, it feels like after watching Raw, Seth Rollins is going to be that guy. Mm-hmm. He talked about Brock Lesnar, and he dropped the tag team titles by himself.
Yeah,
so,
and I thought that match was very good.
For a handicap match, it was great for Seth Rollins. I thought it made the Authors of Pain look like terrible tag team champions to start. So I wonder how that's going to go. But I feel the Raw tag team division is god-awful, so does it really matter anyways? I guess not.
Circling back to that tag team Survivor Series match for a second, we struggled to find tag teams past the Usos and the New Day on SmackDown.
No, there's the Club.
Okay, the Club. They could be on the Survivor Series team. Anybody else?
Sanity.
Oh, okay. There you go. But Raw is worse.
Oh, Raw's terrible.
My point is Raw is Raw is impossible. SmackDown is tough, but Raw, do they have a tag team division? They have the B team, I think. They exist.
Right.
The Ascension, are they still there?
Yeah.
I'm struggling here.
Revival
and Lucha House Party.
That's a new thing, but yeah.
That's a new thing, okay.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
I'm excited about them because, they had one match on Raw, but already they're probably my favorite tag team in the division.
They've added new life to something that's pretty much dead, so that's good. Though they're going to get destroyed against the Authors of Pain.
Maybe, but they're a three-man group. Maybe they can use confusion to lucha their way into victory. Perhaps.
I don't see that happening. Maybe I think Gable and Rude could put up a better fight.
Oh, yeah.
But even them, I don't think they're going to win either.
They're a tag team. Oh, look at that. Look at us coming up with so many tag teams on Raw. None of them that good. It's not like a strong division.
Oh, Raw's going to get killed in this tag match.
And none of those tag teams are really featured that much on Raw. You kind of see them every now and then, but they're not involved in any kind of storyline on Raw.
Well, besides the Usos and New Day, all the other tag teams don't really exist.
That's it. There's not much focus on the tag team division on Raw or SmackDown. So to have this Survivor Series match, I thought was a little bit weird.
Well, you have to gear up for this because it's 7 hours. This is one of the big four, right? So it's going to be a long pay-per-view. You got to fill up that card. And what's a great way to do it? A very long tag match that's kind of pointless.
Totally pointless.
But it's going to help give SmackDown a win because I feel Raw is going to win a lot of matches, so SmackDown needs a win, and it's an easy win for SmackDown.
See, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to be right.
But I am.
No, yes, you are. Probably. But Brock Lesnar should not win.
I agree.
He should not win. AJ Styles is the wrestler. He is the real champion. He is the guy that's held the championship for over a year now. He's the WWE champion. He's the guy that's there week in and week out. He's the guy that is having the match of the night on every single card, including the cards that Brock Lesnar's on. The last show, Crown Jewel, AJ's match was better than Brock's. Brock's match was crazy because he won, but on a consistent basis, AJ is the best wrestler in the world and way better of a champion than Brock Lesnar and has way more respect within the wrestling industry. And this is a rematch from last year where Brock won. So it's AJ's turn. It's AJ's time. This is when the Phenomenal One conquers the beast. He deserves it. The wrestling business deserves it. Put AJ over Brock. Brock's still the beast. He's still the Universal Champion. The title's not on the line. But be okay with the fact that on any given night, AJ Styles is good enough to beat Brock Lesnar. Present us with that scenario, WWE, because it's a fair scenario. It makes sense. AJ is our guy. And I understand Ronda Rousey's probably going to beat Becky Lynch. I understand that. This is their first encounter. Ronda's basically undefeated, right? She hasn't lost.
Nope.
Okay, Ronda will beat Becky. Make it competitive.
Of course.
Make it competitive, for sure. It's going to be a great match. I believe that match could steal the show. Ronda and Becky.
Maybe, yeah.
But I understand putting Ronda over Becky Lynch in that scenario. But you're really going to put two UFC people over the WWE people? Becky and AJ are very similar in the sense that they're the real professional wrestlers. Brock and Ronda, they're the attractions, you know? They're the MMA people. I mean, I give Ronda a ton of credit. Ronda is improving as a professional wrestler, and she's putting in the time. She's on Raw every single week. She is putting in the time, putting in the hour. She's traveling. She's doing it. She's a wrestler, which is amazing. But Brock isn't. Brock, you know, he is technically a pro wrestler, but he's not really. He's not one of the boys. You know, he's not on the road. He's not doing the thing that everybody else is doing. He's showing up. He's getting paid. He's beating people up. He's winning championships every once in a while. AJ Styles is really doing it. AJ Styles is really the guy. AJ Styles needs to beat Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. And if WWE has Brock beat AJ again, shame on them.
Well, in these kind of matches, it doesn't really matter who wins, right? But in terms of Raw versus SmackDown, it's important. And in this case, because Brock just won the championship, is Brock really going to lose his first match since becoming Universal Champion? You barely see Brock, and he's going to take a loss? It sucks because AJ was in the same situation last year, and him just wrestling Brock, oh, it's a great moment. It's okay if he loses. But the way reversed, oh, Brock has to win. It sucks, but that's the attraction of Brock, that he barely loses.
So have him lose to AJ Styles. And I don't think that's the attraction of Brock. The attraction of Brock is he goes in and he destroys. When Brock lost to Goldberg, he didn't lose any of his luster. People still wanted to see him. People wanted to see him probably more because they wanted to see him get his revenge on Bill Goldberg. I sure did. Brock Lesnar is expected to win. Every single match that he walks into, he is expected to win. How could he not be? Look at him. You know who he is. You know what he's done. UFC champion, NC2A Division I champion, all that stuff. You look at him, he's a monster. Sure, he's expected to win every single match. So why not make him a little bit vulnerable? Changes it up. Who's his next title defense going to be against? He just demolished the biggest monster that the WWE has to throw at him in Braun Strowman at Crown Jewel to win that title. Demolished him. Whoever Brock faces next for the Universal title, he's going to be expected to win, unless he's coming off a loss. Maybe the Beast isn't as beastly as he once was. Maybe the Beast is starting to lose some of his steam. Maybe this is the time for, whatever challenger is next for Brock to beat Brock. And AJ Styles beating Brock at Survivor Series could lead into that story for Brock Lesnar.
It's not impossible, but whoever faces Brock, it's got to be someone you believe who could win, like a Seth Rollins. There's not many choices when you think about it. It's really Seth Rollins, maybe Dean Ambrose, but given that he's a heel, it doesn't really make sense. So besides Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley is like nowhere on the radar now in terms of main event. Drew McIntyre, but he's a heel, so
Lashley's a heel too.
Well, did he turn face? That was weird. I didn't get that though on Raw.
Oh yeah, with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on with Bobby Lashley.
Did Drew McIntyre turn babyface?
I'm not sure. Well, he beat Kurt Angle, right? And made him tap.
Well, that was mean, too.
So, it's very weird what happened on Raw this week.
Raw was bizarre. But see, I think part of why Raw was so weird this week is because they're shifting and they're trying to find their footing. They're moving guys around on the roster from heel to babyface roles because they're trying to plan for the future and figure out where they're going. I don't think they really know.
Well, right now Bobby Lashley's suffering a lot because of that, because it feels like he's directionless. But Seth Rollins is always okay. Regardless that he lost the tag team titles, he's still Intercontinental Champion. He's still one of the most featured guys in all of WWE. Yeah. He can still considered one of the best wrestlers. So
I liked his match with Authors of Pain. I'm not a huge Seth Rollins fan, but I recognize that he had a very good match. He really impressed me. I like when Seth Rollins is up against guys of that size with that kind of viciousness. I like the Authors of Pain, too. I think that has something to do with it. They are very good. They're big, they're mean, they're tough. I like what they do. I like their moveset, you know?
Well, to me, they didn't seem mean and tough against one guy and barely being able to beat him. It looked like, wow, that was a huge struggle. That's pretty bad for guys that are supposed to be mean and tough.
They still became the new Raw Tag Team Champions, though. They're still the champions, and they really can look mean and tough against guys that aren't about to be the main event in the WWE. You know, Seth had to look strong there because Seth might be the new Roman. So you got to make Seth look strong. He can't get completely beat up by these guys, even though commentary was selling it like Seth had absolutely no chance, even though Seth almost won. But they're going to have plenty of time to look strong against the rest of the division. Because as we said, the rest of the Raw Tag Division is weak.
I would not be surprised you see the Authors of Pain beat the Bar. Though I think the Bar is a better tag team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to help elevate like the Authors of Pain, make them into a serious contender.
Yeah.
Like a serious threat as the tag team champions.
Uh-huh.
I think they're going to get the win.
Sounds like you're predicting a clean sweep for Monday Night Raw at Survivor Series. Every match we're talking about here, John, you're like, yeah, I think Brock's going to beat AJ. Yeah, I think Authors of Pain are going to beat Cesaro and Sheamus. I think, do you think Seth Rollins is going to beat Nakamura? Obviously, right?
I would think so. You would think so.
I would think so. I would think definitely. Do you think Ronda Rousey is going to beat Becky Lynch? Yup.
Yeah.
What match do you think SmackDown will win?
The women's one.
That's it?
Oh,
and maybe the tag one?
The tag one, yeah.
That's not enough. Raw's going to crush SmackDown if that happens.
Then SmackDown should win the men's one, too.
I still don't know if that's enough.
I think it would be 4-3 at this point then. So
the men's Survivor Series match got almost fully announced this week. Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman announced for Team Raw.
Right.
So we have 2 more members to fill out. And all of Team SmackDown is official. It'll be Daniel Bryan and The Miz co-captaining, which I really enjoyed their backstage segments on SmackDown this week. I thought that was really funny stuff. Bryan is great.
Did The Miz take a shot at him for not being at Crown Jewel?
Did he?
I felt like he said a shot, at least I was in the World Cup or something like that. It felt like he made a shot about that.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever.
I'm surprised he said that.
Daniel Bryan is the best. He's so good. He's entertaining in everything he does. And that's the edge that he has over AJ Styles. As far as in-ring, it's hard to say, AJ's better or Bryan's better. It's very hard to say. I think they're, is very close. But as far as promos, easily Bryan is way better than AJ. AJ's promo there, the backstage that he did on SmackDown, wasn't great. But everything Bryan does, promo-wise, talking-wise, he's very good. He's really good. Underrated. I've always said that about Daniel Bryan. People don't give him enough credit for how good he is on camera, on the microphone.
I think with The Miz, him and The Miz, they have good chemistry. I find him and Brie not so much. It doesn't translate very well. It's not very exciting to watch them talk.
Maybe not, but Bryan and pretty much any other wrestler is always fun to watch on screen. Kane has had many tag team partners in his career. None made him as entertaining as Daniel Bryan. Team Hell No was the best tag team that Kane was ever in. And Kane was in tag teams with some pretty great wrestlers. X-Pac, right? Sean Waltman, Rob Van Dam, The Undertaker. I'll take Team Hell No over the Brothers of Destruction any day. I mean, especially now, because, But I'd say on any given night, I'm much more entertained than Team Hell No.
Speaking of that, Triple H is done? He's injured?
Yeah. Triple H tore his pec, right?
On that choke slam on the announcer's table.
Good God Almighty. That was a sweet bump. And of course, Triple H, super tough. He's tougher than you. He still finished the match. I tore my pec. But now I can't work WrestleMania. Oh no. Shauna. And Sean's like, I'm not wrestling ever again. Did you see at one point there was a video going around during the match, Sean sitting next to Triple H, and he's like, we're too old for this. This is just bad. Sean like just tells Triple H, he's like, we are too old for this. And Sean did an interview where he's like, oh man, seeing myself in the ring and being in there, I realized why I retired 8 years ago. I'm not going to wrestle again. So all that talk of Sean wrestling Taker again and all that stuff, not happening. I think that match was a reminder of why, you retire at some point in your career and you stop wrestling. Because if you want to wrestle 25, 30 minutes in your 50s, you're going to get hurt really badly. And your match isn't going to look that great. And it's just not good. It's not a good look in any way. That match at Crown Jewel, I think, reminded us why it just shouldn't happen anymore. I liked the Australia match with Triple H and Undertaker. I thought that was all right. But something went wrong in this tag team match. It was too much. It didn't work. And Triple H is hurt now. He won't work Mania. Shawn never wants to wrestle again. Kane is going back to being a mayor. Undertaker, I mean, he'll probably come back for Mania. Let's face it. The guy wants to get paid. He's not done. And I'm sure somebody will be honored to wrestle him at WrestleMania. But I don't want to see it. Because, all due respect, but you guys are too old. They're just too old. There's a reason why you retire from professional athletics at a certain age. And all those guys, Shawn, Hunter, Kane, Undertaker, they have all reached that certain age. And they've all reached that wear and tear on their body where it's just like, no, it's not happening anymore. And at a certain point, you're tarnishing your legacy. There are kids growing up now that just know you guys as the old guys. They can't really hack it. And that makes me sad because I am a fan of all four of those guys. And to think that a kid could think of Shawn Michaels as that old bald guy at Crown Jewel and not the Heartbreak Kid, the showstopper, the main event, this makes me sad, I don't want anybody to think of Shawn Michaels, the great Shawn Michaels, as that guy at Crown Jewel because that's not who Shawn Michaels is. That's not who Undertaker is. And I think it's time to retire when you get to that point.
I don't disagree with you, but we didn't get John Cena versus The Undertaker last year.
Oh, boy.
We didn't get the real match. I mean,
Cena could retire, too.
Yeah, but I feel he's going to be at WrestleMania. He said he's going to be at WrestleMania. And Taker's going to wrestle, right? Give us the match this year. Next year. WrestleMania 35, do it finally.
And maybe retire after that, Undertaker.
It's tough. Where do you go for Undertaker? Like, how does it end exactly? Because it kind of ended like 2-3 times already recently. It's ended many times over his career. So what is the final end point for The Undertaker? I don't know. Like, I feel it's starting to get to that like Ric Flair kind of thing. Like, I'm going to wrestle till I die kind of thing.
Yeah.
It does feel like that for The Undertaker.
Yeah.
But, if he can still do it and WWE wants it, fans want it, right? They're reacting.
I don't know. I'm a wrestling fan. I don't want it. I like The Undertaker and all, but, the entrance is still good, but I don't know. I kind of feel the same about Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle had a really rough night on Monday Night Raw. He wrestled in the main event against Drew McIntyre, and they were really playing it up like, oh, Angle's old, he's beat up, he can't compete anymore. And Drew McIntyre was just kind of messing with him, and, he could have beaten him at any time. And I was watching the match, and I was thinking, man, if you would have told me, say, 6 years ago, that this would be happening on Monday Night Raw in the main event, Drew McIntyre just like toying with Kurt Angle and then beating him with his own finishing move, I would have said you were a liar. Like, I would have not believed that whatsoever. But I think in the same vein with Kurt Angle, like, when you're just barely getting around, getting tossed around, and you're losing to Drew McIntyre, maybe it's time to call it a career.
Well, in this case, this was Kurt Angle giving back. He's trying to elevate Drew McIntyre into a main event star by giving him a tap-out loss to his own submission. Obviously, that to me, that was the main point of Raw, was that Kurt Angle won, was in the main event, which you barely ever see anymore.
Yeah.
And that he tapped out.
But it was a sad performance from Kurt Angle. Like, again, if you're somebody who doesn't know that much about Kurt Angle and you're seeing him in that instance, you're like, oh, who's this guy?
Well, they built it up. I mean, he's been GM for almost well over a year now, I feel. People knew who Kurt Angle was. They saw him wrestle with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. He's wrestled a couple of times. It's not like Kurt just came out of the blue, I'm back. They built this up, and that's it. People care about Kurt Angle. You still care about Kurt Angle. Many people still believe he's a great wrestler. So for him to go through that, it made you feel something. It made you care for Kurt Angle. It made Raw actually seem important because something happened that you need to watch.
But it made me sad for Kurt Angle and want him to come back and get his revenge somehow. But I feel like that might not happen.
It's not over. It's not like he retired or anything.
I don't know. It was sad. And just seeing Kurt the way he is, all beat up. I know how beat up he is. And I remember when he was the man, Kurt Angle. I remember when he debuted in WWE, you know? I watched this man's entire career, and to see it where it is now, and he's still in the ring, it's like, oh, man. It's sad for me. It's sad for me to see these guys at this point still wrestling.
Well, it also goes to show that these guys probably shouldn't wrestle the current wrestlers. Just wrestle your own kind of generation. That's it. Because it's going to show that you just can't keep up. But this is also, I feel, Kurt Angle giving back to wrestling and trying to put over the future. As much as you hate the future, Drew McIntyre is the future.
But yeah. He had a little bit of a stare down ski with Bobby Lashley there after Lashley beat Finn Balor. And then Drew kicked Finn Balor in the face. And then Drew beat Kurt Angle in the main event of Raw. So it'll be Drew, Braun, and Dolph Ziggler on Team Raw. Who else will be on that team? Bobby Lashley? Finn Balor? Is that the team?
That sounds about right. It feels like Bobby...
Elias, maybe? Maybe Bobby Lashley and Elias, not Finn Balor. I could see Finn Balor not getting booked on this team. He just lost. Elias beat Dolph Ziggler in a terrible match on Raw. Terrible. So long. So bad. Elias is not a good wrestler. Not at this point. He's just not. That was hard to watch. Really hard to watch. I could see Elias and Bobby Lashley being the final two members of that team. You got Lashley, Strowman, Elias, Drew, and Dolph. That seems about right, doesn't it? No Finn.
I'd put Finn over Elias.
Yeah, I would too, but, you know, that's not how the WWE works. Elias just beat Dolph Ziggler clean on Raw this week. I mean, they're pushing him as a babyface. They're trying to do something with him. They're trying to do way more with Elias than they are with Finn Balor, which tells you a lot about what the WWE's doing wrong right now. They're putting more effort into Elias than Finn Balor.
Right, but you could still use Elias, just have him come out and do a promo.
Why? It's so bad.
But he does it every show. So
I know, I hate it, though. It fills time. It's just a time killer.
Survivor Series, you need to kill that 7 hours, so it helps for that. Finn Balor, all he can do is wrestle, really. He's not going to come out and do a promo. So you need to put him on Team Raw. It adds to star power. When you see Finn Balor, you know, this is going to be a lot better to watch than Elias wrestling. Elias is just for the talking. It's not for the wrestling.
Maybe you're right. I hope you are.
I hope so, too.
I hope you are right. So Team Raw, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and possibly Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley. Or possibly Elias. Who knows? They'll take on Team SmackDown. Daniel Bryan, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Shane McMahon. Fresh off his victory in the World Cup, of course, he's best in the world, so he's got to continue to wrestle. And Stephanie McMahon's supposed to be on Raw this week to address Shane's win in the World Cup for some reason.
Well, I think because of what happened, I think the World Cup is going to be on the line in the Survivor Series match because it was kind of cheap how Shane won it with only wrestling one match.
How could the World Cup be on the line in a multi-man match? What if Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, or Dolph Ziggler and Braun Strowman are the sole survivors for their team? They both win the World Cup? Well, that doesn't make sense, Johnny North.
Raw would win because it was a Raw SmackDown kind of thing, right? Final. It would just go to Raw. That's it. Not like one individual.
All right.
Stephanie just wants the World Cup for herself because Shane has it right now.
Could we just stop talking about the World Cup already? Like, could we forget everything that happened at Crown Jewel and move on?
No, this is all part of the storyline. It all makes sense.
All right. We got to take a short pause here on TSN 690. It is Wrestling Uncensored. When we come back, we will tell you who is on the SmackDown women's team, and we will try to figure out who's going to be on the Raw women's team because they're going to announce that on Monday night. We'll try to spoil it for you right here on Wrestling Uncensored. Stay with us.
What's going on, y'all? This is WWE superstar Kofi Kingston, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is Trish Stratus, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored. People are saying Stratisfaction is guaranteed.
All right, welcome back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. Talking professional wrestling right here. Survivor Series coming up in a couple of weeks' time. We're going into the final week of Raw and Smackdown before Survivor Series. Brock Lesnar will be on Raw. Stephanie McMahon will be on Raw. And Alexa Bliss, who is the team captain for the women's team, but still not wrestling as far as I know. Right?
So she just represents the team, but isn't a member really, just like a mascot practically.
Kind of like what Baron Corbin is. Baron Corbin says he's the team captain of Raw, but he's not going to be wrestling. Whereas Daniel Bryan and Miz are the co-captains of SmackDown, and they'll be on the team.
That's really confusing, but okay.
Yeah. Why isn't Baron Corbin on this team?
Maybe they just realized Baron Corbin in a wrestling capacity is not great. Talking's fine.
Is it?
He gets the point across.
He's annoying.
Yeah, but you hate him. He's doing his job.
I don't like watching him on TV. I don't know if I hate him. I'm bored by him. I wish I could fast forward through him, but I need to hear what he says so that we can do a proper job on Wrestling Uncensored, pretty much. It's the only reason why I watch Baron Corbin.
I still think this is the best role he's been used so far in WWE for.
Definitely. Doesn't say much. So, Alexa Bliss, I think she's still hurt, possibly, because she had a concussion at some point, and maybe some post-concussion effects, so maybe she's not ready to wrestle, or maybe that's the big reveal on Raw, is that she is ready to come back, and she'll be on the team. I don't know.
Does it really matter in the end? I mean, these matches don't really mean much. Do they really need to risk her if she is hurt?
Come on, man. Brand supremacy.
Yeah, they switch brands all the time. Like, who cares? Like, do they all wear Raw and SmackDown shirts every year? No.
So the SmackDown women's team was announced by Paige, the SmackDown general manager, Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and Charlotte Flair was announced. Charlotte Flair announced, but didn't show up. Mandy Rose showed up instead and cut promos on everybody. And then talked about Naomi's husband, Jimmy Uso, and Naomi attacked Mandy Rose. And then they all started fighting. And then Mandy and Sonya had a face-off. I guess Mandy and Sonya aren't going to be friends anymore. Because Mandy said, I eliminated Sonya in the Evolution Battle Royal. How come you chose her to be on the team page instead of me? And it was kind of a little bit of heat there between Sonya and Mandy Rose, who've been together since their debuts on their main roster, right? So I don't know who the final member of the team will be. It'll be Naomi, Asuka, Carmella, Sonya, and somebody, either Charlotte or Mandy. Charlotte seems like she's sad. That seems to be her gimmick right now. She's sad. She's doubting herself. She doesn't think she's very good because she keeps losing to Becky Lynch. She can't beat Becky She lost the last woman standing at Evolution, and ever since then, she's been cutting promos where she's like, I don't know if I can hack it anymore. Paige is like, I want you to be team captain. She's like, nah, I'm not that good. You want somebody else, Paige. So Charlotte is sad, and she doesn't think she's a good wrestler anymore, so that's why she didn't show up when she was announced for the Survivor Series team. So maybe Charlotte will sit on the sidelines, and Mandy Rose will indeed take her place.
Well, it's nice that they gave Mandy the ball in a sense and let her run with it, see what she can do with a promo. We've never seen her in that position before. It was interesting.
Maybe this is the push of Mandy Rose. Maybe Charlotte is so sad and so mentally distracted by the losses to Becky that she will wrestle Mandy Rose for the final spot on the team this Tuesday night on SmackDown and lose. Could you imagine Mandy Rose beating Charlotte Flair on SmackDown? I sure could. And I think the WWE might want to go in that direction. You know they're going to try and push her at some point. You know, she's got the look. You look at Mandy Rose, you hear Corey Graves talk about her as, what does he call her? God's greatest creation or something? He's always pushing that, talking about, oh my God, look at Mandy, look at Mandy. No one is fawned over more by commentary than Mandy Rose. Like, you could tell the WWE thinks she is the hottest thing walking planet Earth. So they want to do something with her. They gave her promo time that they didn't give anybody else, and she's not even technically on the team. So I could see Mandy beating Charlotte this week. Charlotte being all depressed. Not only can I not beat Becky, I can't even beat Mandy Rose. And then maybe Mandy gets a little push and they see what they can do with her. Maybe Mandy as a heel will be next for Becky Lynch.
Well, you open up a can of worms here because Becky is still a heel, right? Because she didn't.
Is she, though? That's what people were telling me on Twitter this week. I got into it with somebody. I was like, Becky is turned babyface now. And somebody's like, no, she's just a cool heel. I disagree.
I think it was
Ronda
Rob said that.
No, somebody else. I think it was Backdoor Sauce on Twitter.
Oh, right. Yeah, Ted Cook. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that Twitter name. So, Ronda Rousey this week was talking about Becky Lynch, saying, like, I like Becky, I respect Becky, all you people like Becky. Ronda was told to say that, okay? She has her lines given to her. It's a script that she kind of reads. So, if the WWE is telling you that the fans like Becky Lynch, she is now a babyface. When Becky Lynch goes out and starts talking about how she's going to beat Ronda Rousey and the fans are cheering, and she is going with the crowd and not running down the crowd, that means she has turned babyface. This week, Becky turned babyface. And maybe you didn't notice it because it was subtle, but Becky is now a babyface. I'm telling you, it is happening. It is full on, like Steve Austin almost.
Well, I feel it's because it's SmackDown. So on the SmackDown side, she's the face, but on Raw, she's the heel.
But Ronda was talking about her very respectfully. And I thought that promo was very good by Ronda Rousey. But then Becky Lynch firing back with her promo on SmackDown, I thought was even better.
Well, I found it awkward that Ronda said she's a killer. You can say that?
I don't know. It's Ronda.
Yeah, I guess. Like, anyone else says that, they probably get fired.
Let's be honest. If Ronda Rousey wanted to, she could kill most of the WWE roster with her bare hands. She is a killer. She's a trained killer. That's what UFC fighters are. I mean, come on now.
To me, it's kind of stepping the lines here. Of like, okay, you can beat the crap out of someone, but to end their lives, it's a little much. But again, it's Ronda Rousey, and if they need her to say that to make her sound cool, I mean, she can say whatever she wants, pretty much, right?
Well, I mean, come on now.
It's a PG show. Come on.
Does it have to be anymore? Let's open it up. Let's go. They're saying bitch every 2 minutes.
Yeah, apparently, you can say bitch like once or twice, like we just did.
I noticed that they only say it after, like in the final hour of Raw, after 10 o'clock.
To be safe, yeah.
Yeah. Good promo, though, by Ronda, one of her best. She's improving. And Becky Lynch is so good. She's on fire. Everything she does is great. Her match with Charlotte, the last woman standing at Women's Evolution, was one of the best matches, if not the best match of the entire year.
For women's wrestling, yes. Without question.
I'd say for all wrestling.
That's tough.
WWE, at least.
You know, we did have like the Money in the Bank matches and everything.
Ah.
That Braun Strowman, Kevin Owens steel cage match, that was crazy.
Apart from Kevin Owens falling off the cage, what else was really going on there?
Kevin taking a beating throughout most of the match, getting thrown around in a cage.
Yeah.
Look at him now. Like, he's paying the price for that stuff.
I hope he's all right. I hope he comes back soon, KO. Rest up, KO. We miss you.
Definitely.
God, I wish Kevin Owens was on Raw.
Yeah, it would make Raw a lot better, that's for sure.
Oh, so much better. So much better. See how Dean Ambrose on Raw, he's like all mysterious. He's not going to explain why he attacked Seth Rollins. And then they go to Renee. They're like, Renee, you know, you're his wife. What do you think about Dean Ambrose? She's like, I don't know, you know. He just doesn't want to talk about it. He's just so crazy. There's no talking to him. I'm like, really, Renee? Really? You have no insight as to what's going on here?
Great marriage.
Yeah, like, where's the communication here? Dean Ambrose just like attacked his best friend after his other best friend announced he was leaving the company because he had leukemia, and you haven't talked to your husband about it? It's weird. It's just weird. It's just weird to have her there with the knowledge that she's Dean Ambrose's wife while Dean Ambrose is doing all this stuff. It's just, and she's trying to be like a baby face. Like, why can't she embrace it? Be like, you know, like, she talks about Seth Rollins positively.
Yep.
If I was in a blood feud with a man and my wife was on TV talking about how great and athletic he was, I'd be pretty upset. I would not be happy with my wife. I'd be like, hey, why are you talking about that guy that I hate so much? You're like saying such nice things about that guy. I hate that guy. Didn't you see me attacking him? He wants to beat me up. Don't you see every week he's trying to beat me up? Why are you saying nice things about Seth Rollins? Renee? I'm Dean Ambrose here. I'm trying to make a living for our family, trying to be WWE champion. I'm trying to beat up this jerk Seth Rollins. And, like, he keeps trying to beat me up. He's calling me out to the ring every single week. And then you're on commentary. I hear you backstage saying, ooh, Seth Rollins, so handsome. Why don't you marry Seth Rollins, Renee? I want a divorce, you know? Dean Ambrose should be very upset at his wife, Renee. She is not sticking to her man at all. Terrible wife. Terrible. You know what I mean? Makes no sense. Like, in the real world, like, if my wife were saying nice things about a man that I hated that kept trying to beat me up, like, she wouldn't, first of all. Like, the guy's trying to beat me up all the time. Why would she say nice things about him? Oh, Renee. Poor confused Renee.
Well, it's unfortunately that's
it's not her fault.
Yeah.
You know, it's WWE how they book it. But my God, it's just like, huh? What is going on here?
They should probably realize this doesn't make a lot of sense. It's making Renee look bad.
Makes Renee look very bad every time they go to Renee. Renee, you have any insight? She's like, nope. I'm like, oh, really? Why not? Come on now.
She should just say...
Poor Dean. I feel bad for Dean now. I'm just like, man, your wife really likes Seth Rollins. You should talk to Renee, Dean. Like, she's talking about Seth very positively. Oh, Seth Rollins, can he beat Authors of Pain? I really hope so. Why? Why don't you want Authors of Pain to kill Seth Rollins, literally, so then he doesn't bother your husband anymore? That's what I would want, Renee. Somebody were attacking my wife, I'd be like, I don't like that lady. What a mean person, you know?
Well, they like to sell the whole professionalism, you know. She calls it right down the middle, which is completely obviously not true. She obviously has her bias.
Yeah, she doesn't call it down the middle. She sides with Seth Rollins a lot of the times. It's weird. Will she side with him when he's wrestling Dean? Because she typically takes the babyface side. Like, what's she going to do?
She'll put over Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be weird and awkward,
It'll
but
be super weird.
It's a weird character they have for her.
It was easier to deal with when she was the backstage announcer, but now that she's on commentary, it's like, what?
If she was on SmackDown, it wouldn't be that bad.
It would be way easier. He wouldn't be there. But the Dean Ambrose Renee thing, it's just, they're married, you know? You can't get around that. You show it on the WWE Network when you air Total Divas. We know. It's not like they hide it. They even ask Renee on Raw, hey, Renee, you got anything to say? Oh, boy. Over on SmackDown, the way better show this week. Like, Raw was not good. Raw doesn't tend to be very good ever. But SmackDown consistently is an incredible show. Not only did we get the dream match of Becky Lynch versus Nikki Cross, which was a great match, Nikki Cross making her debut on SmackDown. Finally, Nikki Cross has been one of my favorites for so long. She had Match of the Year last year against Asuka in the Last Woman Standing. WWE was saying that the Becky Charlotte was the first Last Woman Standing ever, but it was actually Asuka and Nikki Cross doing an NXT last year. So,
yeah, but NXT doesn't exist.
Doesn't count.
Yeah,
it's different, right? So Nikki Cross made her debut, which is great, and she's on SmackDown, which is doubly great because we're gonna get to see her wrestle Asuka again, probably. Those two have incredible chemistry. And she had a really good match with Becky Lynch. I'm already a big fan of Nikki Cross. John, I don't know if you're as familiar with her as I am. What did you think about her debut?
I've seen about maybe 3 other matches she had in NXT. It's what I expected she'd have, a nice solid match. It's a tough situation because it's her debut and she has to lose.
Yeah.
That's a tough situation.
It is. But she'll work her way up the card, I think. It was a rough way to start. She's with Sanity, too. And those guys, they don't win anything. I don't know what happened to them.
That was weird how, she put out the challenge right. She wanted to fight, and then Sanity comes out. I'm like, wow, the guys are going to, beat up Becky? What the frig? But, no, it was Nikki Cross, which is great. But Sanity leaves her, by the way. Doesn't stay at ringside. That was kind of odd.
Yeah. I guess with Sanity there, they would have been expected to help her win, and then she can't win because she's losing. Maybe.
It was a crummy situation for a debut, I think.
They'll figure it out with her. She'll work her way up because the cream rises to the top. She's an excellent wrestler. A lot of talent there. And Andrade Cien Almas wrestled Rey Mysterio. I was talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago, saying, man, when these guys wrestle, that's a dream match. That could be one of your matches at WrestleMania. And lo and behold, we just get it on a random SmackDown for a qualifying spot on the Survivor Series team. That match was awesome. Awesome. That back elbow thing that Andrade does where he goes for a boot, but it's just like a fake boot, and then he spins and hits you with the back elbow.
Yeah.
It is devastating every time. It is such a good move. He is very good. He's got so many great moves. He does so many cool things. But that one in particular I really like. When he did it to Rey this week, I was like, oh my God, I think he killed Rey.
Well, when Rey hit that springboard Hurricanrana, he doesn't hit that anymore. He rarely does that. That was impressive that Rey, still, one, wants to do that move, and 2, hits that move.
I think he recognizes who he was in the ring with, and, they know this is a big match. This is important. And Rey recognizes that Andrade Cien Almas is an excellent wrestler. I think he's a third-generation wrestler. I think that's what they were even saying on SmackDown, right?
Okay.
The guy was a big star in Mexico, and Rey, I'm sure, is familiar with him. And you know that Andrade is familiar with Rey. So this was a big deal match. I was really excited for this one. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that they're just putting this on SmackDown. This is a big deal. And Rey Mysterio won 619 and the dropping of the dime. And then Randy Orton hit RKO on Rey Mysterio after the match for some reason.
Yeah, it makes me believe that Randy might take Rey's spot, possibly.
On the Survivor Series team?
Why not?
Miz will argue that Randy should be on the team instead of Rey. But didn't Rey beat Randy at Crown Jewel?
Right, but it wasn't for this, though.
Yeah, but Rey just won a qualifying spot here. Even though Randy hit him with an RKO. I mean, so what? I really hope that Randy doesn't replace Rey. Who would you rather see on the team?
Well, Jeff Hardy. It's too bad, but
No. That's not. I didn't give you Jeff Hardy as an option.
Damn.
I give you Randy or Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I'd probably take Rey.
You probably? If you're a wrestling fan and you'd rather see Randy Orton wrestle over Rey Mysterio, check yourself. Something wrong with you.
You got to look at Randy Orton's Survivor Series. He always has big moments.
You know, we talked a lot about guys that are older that just can't cut it anymore. Rey Mysterio is not one of those guys.
He did have a nice break, though, from WWE.
Yeah, but so what? So did Kurt Angle.
Well,
Rey Mysterio looks way better than Kurt Angle.
Kurt kept wrestling, though.
Yeah. Rey, I don't know.
And Kurt had demons.
Yeah, that's true. Rey's had like 10 surgeries in his left knee.
Right, but he rehabbed, and he took care of himself. Kurt was a machine and just kept going. Now it's kind of like a broken down machine.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Rey, still fluid, still moving, still hitting incredible moves. Rey is ageless. I have no idea how he's still doing it.
But that's it. We're not going to see Rey wrestle every week, though. Like, I doubt we'll see him wrestle on SmackDown. If he does, maybe a tag match. Like, this is going to be limited Rey Mysterio. It's going to be like Randy Orton. Randy doesn't wrestle every week, but he's there.
Yeah, that's true. I do appreciate the Rey Mysterio performances, though. Way more than most, because Rey is a legend, right? Future Hall of Famer. One of the greatest to ever do it, and still doing it at a very high level. I really enjoyed that match with Almas. And I like the way SmackDown ended. Samoa Joe beating Jeff Hardy to earn his spot on the SmackDown Survivor Series team. Daniel Bryan and The Miz were on commentary for this match. Joe got into Daniel Bryan's face after the match. Bryan attacked him, put Joe in the yes lock. Miz attacked Bryan, and then Bryan takes out The Miz too. And then Shane McMahon shows up, grabs Bryan from behind to try and stop him. Bryan didn't know who it was, flips Shane right over top of him. It's a very impressive little move there that Bryan did to Shane. And then Bryan's kind of like, oh, no, I didn't know it was Shane McMahon. And Shane's like, hey, man, why'd you attack me? And, of course, there's a lot of history there with Bryan and Shane when they were co-GMs or whatever, running SmackDown together. They've tag teamed as well at WrestleMania. So Bryan attacking Shane was kind of like, oh, what's going on here? And maybe it'll lead to Shane versus Bryan down the road. I could see that. I could see them planting the seeds for that, because I don't know where Bryan's going as far as long-term plans, but maybe him and Shane at WrestleMania is what we're going to get. Might not be what we want, but it might be what we're going to get. So a little bit of a deal there, and then Daniel Bryan kind of walks away, and everybody's in the ring after getting tossed around by Daniel Bryan. That's the way I like SmackDown to end. Bodies getting tossed around, everybody left laying, Daniel Bryan looking like a madman on the rampage, standing tall at the end of the show. I mean, that seems about right to me. SmackDown was perfect.
Well, it's weird how we're going to a show where it's Raw versus SmackDown, but it's pretty much SmackDown versus SmackDown until you get there, Raw versus Raw. And it's all about the teams trying to work together, but they're not working together because they're enemies until then. So it's a weird thing to lead up to a show like this.
Well, you always kind of have the inner turmoil on the Survivor Series teams, though, don't you?
You do, but that's all they got so far this year. I mean, pretty much every year, I think the last 2-3 years, SmackDown invades Raw, and we get a couple of those, like, brawls, SmackDown versus Raw, and it feels like, yeah, there's actually a bit of tension between the teams. Now it's just like, well, we all don't like each other, but let's try to get along, and we'll just, beat the crap out of each other until we get there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's the way they're building it, I suppose. It's funny that Drew and Dolph and Braun are on the same team. Like, they were a unit a few weeks ago, then they broke up. Drew and Dolph are still together, but Braun is kind of on his own. But now they're back together for Survivor Series.
Well, I feel Braun versus McIntyre, that's the feud going forward on Raw. I would not be surprised if we see that on the next pay-per-view, that match.
Maybe for number one contenders at Brock.
Makes sense, or just a match. I mean, why throw number one contender? Because who knows when Brock's going to show up. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much is when you think about it.
Yeah, you never know. I think Brock's going to show up more often than you think, though. He'll be on Raw this Monday.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
When's your next match? When can people see you?
It'll be on the same day as Survivor Series.
Oh.
In Montreal at 2 p.m. at Drew Onyx's Torture Chamber, 4325 Industrial Boulevard. Tickets are $8. I'm wrestling Savage Paulson.
For more on that, follow him on Twitter at North Genesis. Follow him on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, same handle, at Dave Simon MMA. RingsideReport.net is our website, WrestlingUncensored.net. You could go to our YouTube channel. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch Dave and Johnny live every Friday afternoon. Johnny North got a lot of heat this week on Dave and Johnny Live. The people were mad at Johnny North. We did giveaways. We do giveaways on the show, so you definitely want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net with the .net spelled out, D-O-T-N-E-T, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Go subscribe, put a like on our videos, and you'll get everything there. Every episode of Ringside Report Radio is uploaded to our YouTube channel. Every episode of Wrestling Uncensored and Dave and Johnny Live, the video show where you get to see Johnny North and I every Friday afternoon live. We communicate back and forth with you. It's a lot of fun, and you get to see us and everything talking about pro wrestling and whatever else comes to mind. So check us out on YouTube. Check us out, WrestlingUncensored.net. I want to thank Jimmy and Marco for helping us out back at TSN 690, and a big thanks to you for listening. For Johnny North, I am Dave Simon, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah.
Yeah.